Have you ever wondered what my favorite starter Pokemon are? Well, I'm the Zabin, and I'm glad you had that question because today we're going to be answering that. Now, I do have a tier list here today, so we are going to be doing a tier list of all the starter Pokemon from its base form all the way up to its final evolution. We will not be including the Mega Forms, even though they are on this list. We will not be doing the Mega Forms, mainly because I want to stick towards the base form. Plus, Megaforms are more exclusive to certain games. It's not in all of them, right? If Megaforms were available in all of them, we think I would have included it, but just because it's a gimmick for certain games, I will not be including the Megaforms of the Pokemon. Also, with the Legends ZA game coming out, I believe next year, they will be adding some more Megas, and I think and hope they will be adding more Megas to the starter Pokemon, which would be super awesome and fantastic. Also, I will not be including the starters from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, because that is, even though it is technically like a mainline game, it's a remake of the OG, right? I will not be including Pikachu and Eevee, just because I feel like it isn't right. Plus, Pikachu and Eevee in that game are a little bit OP, so will not be including them. And also on this list, they do have Espeon and Umbreon, because I believe they were the starters for Gale of Darkness, but we will not be including that as well because that is also not really a main game. So again, in this, we will not be including Megas. We're not including Pikachu, Eevee, Espeon, and Umbreon, just because that's not really like a main starter type Pokemon. Plus, it's more of a spin-off game anyways. But anyways, with all that said, let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with the Gen 1 starters, right? So going just simply from left to right, Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, Venusaur. I'm thinking Bulbasaur, B tier, right? It's a decent Pokemon, looks nice. It's a nice starter Pokemon, pure grass type. Can't really go wrong with it, right? So not too bad. Its evolution, Ivysaur, I think I like a little bit more. I think it just has a better design. I liked when it was in the game for like Smash Bros, for example, right? I know it's not really the main Pokemon game, but I did like Ivysaur a little bit more. And I think Smash Bros to an extent did have a bit of a play on that. So to me, it is kind of A tier. I think its mid-evolution was just honestly best. Plus, overall, with its personality, if you look into like the show and whatnot, personality-wise and the way that Ivysaur kind of was, it's just, it's a nice Pokemon in the end. So, and then lastly, its evolution, Venusaur. I'm not actually a big fan of that. I'm putting it in D tier. Now, it's not like the worst Pokemon, but honestly, out of its evolution, it's kind of ugly. It's just a big frog, pretty much, right? I believe it's supposed to be a frog with a tree on its back, which is cool, like the concept and everything, but I just didn't really like the design in the end for that Pokemon. A little bit too ugly for me. Now moving to its fire counterpart, we got Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. This one, it might be a little bit biased to an extent because I feel like the design was perfect. Like, it's really good. However, I think I am going to put sort of the whole evolutionary. Now, I'm a little bit content putting Charizard in A tier. Actually, no, we will put Charizard in A tier. Reason why is because Charmander and Charmeleon, I think they just look great. Like, obviously Charmander is like a lizard, and then Charmeleon kind of reminds me a little bit of like a dinosaur to an extent, but obviously it's taking more characteristics of like a dragon, but it just has a really good design. Again, all pure fire types there. And then lastly, you get Charizard, and Charizard is supposed to be a dragon, right? It grows its wings, it looks like a dragon. It's the classic like OG dragon. Even though it did not get the dragon typing, it's still like the OG dragon, right? Regardless of whether it's like the card game or the main game or the show or whatever it is, everybody just has like a weak spot for Charizard. And even I do, because it's just the classic dragon that we grew up with. And why would we not want to put it pretty high in the list, right? So overall design, great design for a Pokemon. And this is maybe a little bit biased, but I did use Charizard in the games, and obviously as I got older and I used Charizard a bit differently, I ended up seeing how Charizard was actually a pretty good Pokemon. So that's kind of another reason why I would put Charizard up a bit higher onto the A list, just because I really did like using Charizard. It kind of showed how it would be kind of like an ace Pokemon if you're using it in the games, right? You may not use it for like tournaments and stuff, but for someone like me who plays a little bit more casually and whatnot, Charizard can really shine. So it's really awesome to see that. And I think that's why Charizard will be A tier on this list. And then finally, the water type. We got Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. So with here, it's a bit biased because Squirtle, again, B tier. Think it's pretty good, not too bad. It's a turtle. Now, personally, I really do like Wartortle. It's S tier for me. Wartortle, something about like the wings and the weird like feathered tail thing that it has. It made me really like Wartortle, but at the same time, just kind of always looking back at this design, it makes me wonder that if they kept on going down that path, right? Maybe if they made another evolution for Wartortle, because it looks so much like it should have been evolved into a flying water type, as weird as that may sound, but having like the wings and stuff, it just kind of made me think that that's what it would eventually evolve into. But design wise, I really do like this Pokemon. I don't know what it is about this turtle with like wings on its head and like the feather stuff on the back. Maybe it's not even feathers, but it just looks so cool to me, and I really like that. And then plus, you know, it's in his name. It's like Wartortle. Looks like he's gonna go to war. You know, he really looks like he's gonna hold up on his own. And then lastly, we got Blastoise. It's a simple design. It is a giant turtle with cannons under its shell. I think it's super cool. Obviously, of course, when you look at its like Mega or its G-Max forms and stuff, it looks even better, kind of playing more into the whole cannon thing. But I think it's just a super awesome giant, and again, very simple design of a giant turtle with the cannons coming out of its shell. Not really much to complain there. Big, bulky guy with cannons. It's not hard to complain. Moving on to the Gen 2 Pokemon here, of course, starting with grass, we have Chikorita, Bayleaf, and I believe it's Meganium? I don't know, but I believe that's how it is. Anyways, these three right here, for me personally, they're all just kind of C tier. Like, I understand what it seems like what they were going for, if you ask me, maybe kind of more for like a dinosaur design, but they kind of played a lot with like a simple design, something cute, right? Something that this just isn't too wild or crazy. It seems like they kind of played it safe with this design, and it's not too bad, right? So overall, just kind of C tier. It's nothing like to hate or dislike, but there's not really much to like or really love about this Pokemon, if you ask me. Now moving on to its fire counterpart, we have Cyndaquil, who I think for me, it's going to be B tier, right? Kind of a cute Pokemon, small, simple. Now, this might sound a little bit weird, but similar to Wartortle, I do kind of like its mid-evolution Quilava. I do kind of like that one a little bit more, right? Even compared to Typhlosion, who's going to be in B tier. It just seems like they just made the Pokemon bigger and then just kind of gave it a, you know, fire around its neck pretty much, because I don't think there's any fire that comes out anywhere else for this Pokemon. Like, I don't think... Yeah, I think it just doesn't come out anywhere else. Now, it did get a Hisuian form. Hisuian form looks pretty interesting, but again, more or less the same thing. Like, it has this like ghostly fire coming out of just simply its neck. It's maybe a little bit of a different color, maybe a little bit more of a dark bluish purple instead of maybe this lighter green blue thing. Like, I don't really know, but overall, like, it just kind of seems like they just made it bigger, let it have less fire, which to me kind of looks like it's not as cool as it was with Quilava, which I think it was going down sort of the right direction with the more fire thing. And then lastly, we got the waters. Now, I'm kind of a sucker for Totodile. Okay, I'm kind of a sucker for Totodile. It's just a cute little crocodile thing. And then, of course, we got its evolutions, which, if you ask me, I'm going to probably put it like this. It's a little bit weird. Actually, no, I'm going to put you right there. Reason why I'm putting it more in B tier is because it's kind of a nice looking Pokemon, right? Like, if you look at it, I mean, of course, it's a crocodile. Or for alligators, an alligator, sorry. So... you know, it's simple, all right? It's nice. It stands on all twos, but I can imagine it more in the water, swimming around and stuff. It's mid-evolution, why I'm kind of debating on putting it between B or C, maybe like a low B, is because it's reminds me, to me, that looks kind of more like a baby Pokemon, if you will. Like that maybe should have been the first design instead of Totodile. Just because, again, looking at it, it just kind of reminds me of more of a, like, again, like first, like, form. But besides of that, like, it does kind of have like this dinosaur look to it, which I kind of dig. So it kind of gets a pass for me right there. Moving on to Gen 3, this was actually kind of a tough talk that I had to do with myself, right? Because I do have a favorite grass type, and it was really hard to debate if it was the Treecko line. Now, I will say Treecko itself, I really love Treecko. But its evolutions, what is it, like Grovyle, forgot how you say this one, and then Sceptile, Sceptile. I think realistically, just from experience playing the games, design-wise and everything, I think it's a fantastic Pokemon. But I think more realistically, just for me, it's A tier. I think I don't have too much experience in this Pokemon. I really want to put this in S tier just because I really do like the Pokemon, but I think I have one that I like a little bit more than this one. I just kind of had to come to terms with it. But overall, fantastic Pokemon. I remember playing a lot of Gen 3 and using this Pokemon a lot. But I've realized, and I kind of come to terms with it, that even though I do like this Pokemon, I really haven't sort of gone out of my way, especially lately with the new games, since we are kind of able to bring starters from other games, over to like Scarlet Violet. And I really haven't been using this Pokemon. Like, I'd rather use a different grass type, funny enough. And we will see in just a sec which one that one is. But again, overall, fantastic Pokemon. Great Pokemon. I just have not seen myself really wanting to use this Pokemon, as weird as that sounds. Now, moving on to the Fire-type Torchic, who I think, design-wise, C. Like, kind of what I know about Torchic and experience and whatnot. Torchic's kind of C. It's just a chick. I think it does have 2 legs, but it prefers to keep one hiding, right? So it does have 2 legs, but it keeps one hiding. And then, what is this? Combuskin and Blaziken. I would probably put them both in B tier. I think I'm going to put them both in B tier just because I have more experience with those Pokemon, right? Especially Blaziken, right? Blaziken, from what I remember, is like a very strong Pokemon, right? Fighting, fire type. I'm always seeing it, or often seen it used in competitive play in Pokemon. And it always seems like it's a pretty good Pokemon overall. I mean, it needs to be good enough if it's in, if it's its own character in Pokemon Unite. So it must be a good enough Pokemon. But overall, I think, again, B. I've had some decent experiences with Blaziken. I think I used Blaziken for a short time. I did use Blaziken when it came to the Gen 3 game. But overall, still kind of not too bad. And ending it off, we got the water type, which is the Mudkip line. And I think, this is just me, I think it's all just kind of, it's B tier. It's all B tier. Because it's pretty good. Like, design-wise, it's pretty nice, right? Mudkip's adorable. Then you got Marshtomp and whatever the heck the other one is, right? Swampert, there you go. So you kind of have the evolutions going on where it kind of keeps that same design and looks nice, and it's not a bad Pokemon overall. Now, if I did add the Mega probably would have been down to like E because I think the Mega just didn't look that great. But overall, again, I think it's not a bad Pokemon. Great typing and everything, really strong and whatnot, but just not really a favorite of mine. Even though, again, I did use the Pokemon quite a bit growing up, it's just not quite there for me. Just not quite there to make it into like a personal favorite. Moving on to Gen 4. This one is just the easiest, right? We got the Turtwig line. Now, Turtwig, boom, S tier. I think it's, how do you say this? Grovel or whatnot? I would probably say it's a B tier. And then lastly, Torterra, S tier. This is the Pokemon that beat Treecko, by the way. I think just realistically, I just like Turtwig more than Treecko, and then its evolution being Torterra. I think I just like it by design, typing, like all that stuff. Its moveset. I just like it a lot more than Sceptile, and I kind of had to come to terms with that. I was like, I like both, but which one do I like more? And I just kind of look back at the things that we were doing and saying and whatnot, and I just kind of realized, hey, you know what? Turtwig kind of wins that. So even though, again, I really do like Treecko, Turtwig and its evolution just kind of beats it out, right? So that's just kind of on me for that. Next, we got the Infernape line, right? We got, was it Infernape, Primeape, and then Chimchar. There you go. Said I did the thing backwards, but personally, now this Pokemon, realistically, if you asked me this like back in the day, I would have been like, oh yeah, this is E tier. This is the worst Pokemon ever. But it did grow on me. It did grow on me as a Pokemon. So I think Chimchar itself is kind of C tier. It's like basic. It doesn't have much going for it. But its evolutions do kind of carry it. And now it's at B tier, right? Like before, it would have been D tier, E tier, C tier. Now it's C and B because the Pokemon did grow on me. I think that came from our playthrough of Diamond and Pearl that we did on stream, and I was asking everybody like, hey, what starter should I have for this team and yada yada, and we kind of just went from there. And we ended up with Infernape, and Infernape did kind of come in clutch. I know that in the games it's a pretty good Pokemon to use, so I know it's good. But I never really liked it very much, and now it's kind of grown on me since we've done that stream. So that's pretty cool in my opinion, but it's still not quite there if you ask me. That's just me though. That's just kind of my take on it. And then lastly, we got Piplup something, because I always forget the middle evolution's name for some reason, into Empoleon, right? So kind of overall, I think I want to put Piplup in the B tier. Actually, you know, its whole evolution could kind of be B tier if we're going to be honest, because it is a penguin. I like penguins. They're pretty cool. I do kind of like when it comes down to it, like, hey, all these water types, who's number one and whatnot. Like, I kind of want to do, like, I wish Empoleon didn't have the steel typing, whether it be like pure water or maybe water ice perhaps, because that's kind of one that trips up people sometimes. I would have been okay with that. If anything, I would have preferred that it'd be water ice instead of water steel, but it's still pretty good overall. I think it's not a bad Pokemon. Design wise, I kind of have more experience with it being more just a water based Pokemon, and I really kind of like it for that. It's a penguin. They kind of went down, like, what is it called? Kind of like the Emperor Penguin in a way, right? Empoleon. It seems like they have Emperor in that. Maybe that's just my take on it. But it has like a crown here of swords. But it's just a simple design. It's nothing super crazy. I wish the shiny was much better. Granted, we're not talking about shinies here, but if the shiny was here, I wish it was a lot better. But again, this is a Pokemon that I wish that maybe it was either pure water, maybe water ice, instead of being water steel. It just kind of is a weird mix if you ask me, because then if it was water ice, it kind of be up there with like Lapras or Cloyster, right? I think Dugong might also be that. Dugong could probably be pure ice for all I know, but pure water, I don't know. But anyways, just examples out there. But overall, again, Piplup line is just kind of, it's B tier. I really do like it, but I don't like it enough to be kind of like a favorite or anything like that. Generation 5. Now, Generation 5, I'm not going to lie. I think it's between 5 to 7. Generations 5 to 7, I missed out on, right? So I'm not too familiar with these starters. I'm a bit familiar with them, kind of playing through, you know, Sword and Shield, Scarlet Violet, etc. Kind of playing through Unite or Pokemon Go. Like, there's a lot of other games that you can kind of experience these Pokemon. I really have not, right? So... oh, excuse me. I believe the Snivy line. I want to say it's Snivy. I don't know if the last one is Emboar. Or Grumpig. I think that's the name of the first one actually. The Grumpig line, and then we have the oh my god, the Oshawott line. Now I am familiar with Oshawott, especially because of Legends Arceus, right? So kind of going about it design wise and knowing the Pokemon, just kind of what I know of these Pokemon, because I don't really know them that well. I believe starting with the Snivy line, which is, it's not Seviper, what is Serperior or something like that. I forgot the name of this last one, but Snivy line, I kind of want to put it in like, its starter, it's kind of C tier. It's kind of like, it's kind of like a weird thing going on. But its evolutions, I think, just for me, it's kind of more B tier. Kind of like this elegant snake thing that they got going on. Maybe it's supposed to be more of a dragon, but it looks more like a snake to me, and I really kind of dig it. They went for something kind of different. Although, again, just the starter, it's kind of like, what is that? Okay, now onto Emboar here. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm not really a big fan. Like, it's a cute pig. That's about it. It's a cute pig. Then again, you could say that about a lot of the starters. Like, hey, that's a cute lizard. That's a cute turtle or whatever. But I don't know. It's just a simple pig design. Like, I don't know. It doesn't have anything that stands out to me very much. Now, to an extent, I do kind of like its mid-evolution, because it kind of takes on more of a wrestler, personality. And I've kind of been big, if you know me, I actually really liked wrestling growing up, and that's kind of what I like about it. Now, of course, lastly, its evolution. It's kind of just, if you ask me, gets the Venusaur treatment. I feel like it's kind of a downgrade. I'm sure, like, for a lot of people, they really like it and such, but I feel like when I look at the Pokemon, I don't really want to use it too much. I mean, I'm sure, again, that it's fine. It's really good. It looks like it'd be kind of a bulky, perhaps a defender type. Maybe since it's fire, they might want to go more toward attack, but it looks like it's a big, bulky Pokemon that can kind of hold its own. And then we got Oshawott. This is the one Pokemon out of this generation that I actually kind of know and have experience with. Oshawott itself, I actually kind of do. I dig. I think the evolutionary line for Oshawott, I really dig. Now, its final evolution, Samurott, will also be an A tier as well. I think both its regular and its Hisuian. I think the difference is that it's, I want to say it's probably a pure water type. I can't really remember that one, but its Hisuian form, if I remember, is a dark water type. And it was pretty cool, like, just using it, especially in, like, Legends Arceus. It was actually pretty cool to see it kind of in action. And again, we're going into a territory here where I don't know Pokemon very well, because I really haven't used these Pokemon at all or very much. And it's more, again, just kind of with the new games. I really haven't seen, haven't really been caught up with the show or anything like that, but just kind of my experience with Oshawott and its evolutions and its design and whatnot, I kind of dig it a lot, and that's kind of my reason for why it would be in the A tier as opposed to maybe like B, C, or maybe even S, just because I think it is a nice designed Pokemon. I've used it before. I actually really enjoyed it, and that's kind of why it's an A tier and kind of surpasses its friends, its homies, because I really didn't get to use it. Now, to be fair, I think Emboar I did use in Pokemon Go, but I feel like Pokemon Go maybe didn't save it enough for it to be any higher in this tier list. Generation 6. Now, this is kind of the interesting one. So I know these Pokemon maybe a bit more because Chestnut I wanted to use at some point for what's it called? Like in a Pokemon team. I had it as a shiny in Pokemon Go. I transferred over to Scarlet Violet. So I kind of know it a little bit, right? I like transferring shinies from Pokemon Go over to the main games. But that's just me. Everybody can play however they want. And then we got Delphox here, who I kind of know more from Pokemon Unite than I do anything else, right? I really don't really know it very much in the main game. Also, I do see that there is a Battle Bond Greninja in this. We're going to take that out because it doesn't count. But Greninja itself, I do know. But again, it's kind of more, I know this Pokemon from Smash Bros. So I kind of know, I know these three Pokemon. I'm somewhat familiar with them. I just know them for different reasons. So again, going left to right, it's Pokemon Go. That's why I know Chestnut. Delphox from Pokemon Unite, and then Greninja more from Smash Bros. I think I did use Greninja and Chestnut in just a bit in Scarlet Violet, and I don't think I used Delphox, but I used at least those two a little bit. So I have a tiny bit of experience game-wise, but kind of just going just off the Pokemon, kind of what I know about the Pokemon and stuff. I'm gonna give, I think that's how you say, I don't think this is called actually Chestnut. I'm gonna look back one day and look at these Pokemon. But I'm going to give the grass type here sort of the B tier treatment because I like the first two. I think it's adorable and cute. And then it's final evolution, which I believe is Chestnut, is C tier for me. It just kind of becomes this big, bulky, ugly thing, but at the same time, it's kind of a cool design, but it's not enough to get me to like it in any way. Moving over to Delphox, I think its mid evolution is probably B tier, and then its first and last evolution is kind of C tier for me. I don't know if I'm correct on this, but it kind of looks like it's going for like a wizard vibe, right? Or I don't know, like it's just a Pokemon that holds a stick and then it's supposed to do like special attacks, if I recall. Seeing it in gameplay wise for Pokemon Unite, it does seem like it's going for the wizard route. Like, hey, we're gonna do this and that, you know, and it does its magic and spins people around. Like, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, I like it, but I don't know. There's nothing. I don't know. It's mid evolution. No, even its mid evolution. I'm lying to myself there. Even its mid evolution is kind of C tier for me. It's just a fox that stands on all. You know, it just stands up. Even though I do like fox or foxes, I don't know. It just doesn't have a lot going on for me. And then lastly, the Greninja. Now, Greninja, I would say it's Froakie, and I forgot the name of the. I think is that Froakie? I don't think that's Froakie. I think Froakie's another Pokemon. But anyways, its first starter and a middle form are C tier to me. Mainly because it's just like a simple frog design. Now, Greninja itself, I'd probably would put Greninja in A tier, because again, the first two, it's just a simple frog. It's nothing going on. I think I could be wrong about the middle form, but I think they're both just pure water. Greninja being, I think it's water dark. It's in the name, ninja. it takes on a ninja design that I personally really like. So that's of course why it's going to be an A tier. If I wanted to use the Pokemon in the main game, which I probably will one day, I'd probably will look them up. So that's kind of another reason why I like Greninja, is it has the capability, just for me, maybe not right now, but in the future, to end up learning like, hey, what is this Pokemon good for? When can I use it for? That's pretty much it for the Greninja line. I'm getting into Pokemon I don't really know. Finally getting to the last of the Pokemon that I don't know, Generation 7. Now, I'm somewhat familiar with these Pokemon. I know the Rowlet line, also because of Legends Arceus, so that helps out a lot. We got the Litten evolving into Incineroar. A bit familiar with that as well. It's kind of more because of Smash Bros. And I've kind of looked a little bit into competitive play, so I am a bit familiar with how annoying, or really good, I should say, Incineroar is. And then we got Popplio and its evolutions. Now, starting with Rowlet, I really am not a big fan of the first two. Like, it's kind of you know, it's just a simple owl design, so it's kind of like, okay, like it is what it is. Now, its final evolution, on the other hand, Decidueye, there you go. Decidueye, for both forms, I think an easy A tier. I really do like that it goes for an archer design, and its Hisuian form, what would that be? More of like a samurai or something like that? I gotta look into what type of style or design that's supposed to be, but I really did like it. Now, it did change in typing. I believe it's grass flying for the regular Decidueye, and then its Hisuian form is fighting grass, I believe, grass fighting type. So it loses flying for fighting, which I'm not a stranger to that. I actually do kind of dig that combo of fighting and grass. I know it can be kind of bad, you know, to something like flying, for example, and it's just the worst. And you can also still lose to like fire and probably psychic, right? But other than that, I mean, it's still design-wise and gameplay-wise, I really did like using these two. Obviously, I used the Hisuian form a lot more than regular, but I do like them both, and I'm a bit familiar with them in the show, just a little bit, not too much. The one that I am really familiar with the show and from Smash Bros. Is Incineroar. Now, Litten and its evolution, I mean, it's a simple cat design. I think it's a simple cat design, although maybe its evolution could be in B tier, because I do kind of dig that design a bit more. Incineroar itself, I think I'm going to put it in B tier. I think once I kind of first learned of the Pokemon and whatnot, it would have been a lot higher. Probably would have been an A tier because I thought it was super cool. It's got the whole wrestling thing going on for it, which is what I really like. But it doesn't really have a lot to it for me to really like it, right? I'm sure maybe if I pick it up and I wanted to be somewhat competitive with it in Scarlet and Violet, for example, maybe I'll like it a little bit more. But as of right now and kind of what I know about the Pokemon and such, I'm just going to keep it in B tier because it's okay design. I think it's not too bad. It's annoying in Smash sometimes, but but as a Pokemon overall, I think I'm going to keep it in B tier. And then lastly, we got the Popplio line, which I'm not too familiar with. I did remember seeing Popplio in like the show, the anime, right? That's probably my only real genuine experience with the Pokemon. I haven't used them in anything else. I am familiar with the typing of it being I believe it's water fairy type, so that's pretty cool. But I'm not too much of a big fan of it. Also, it kind of keeps this pattern where like a certain Pokemon typing can beat the other typing, which I just realized that. But anyways, for Popplio, I'm gonna put the whole line maybe at C tier. I do kind of dig, like it would already be like a high C, low B for its final evolution because it's going for more of a mermaid design, right? So that's cool and fair. But overall, I'm not too familiar with it. Design-wise, I think it's not too bad. I want to be able to experience it. Maybe if I play with the Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, for example, maybe I can get a better understanding and maybe get a better opinion on it. But as of where I stand, I don't have too much experience with it. I think the typing isn't too bad. Fairy, water, that's pretty cool, but I don't know. There's nothing about this Pokemon right now, at least, that tells me like, hey, this is gonna be really awesome and cool, or B, like, and it's gonna be also like terrible and bad, So it's gonna be kind of just mid. It's gonna be in C for now. Finally, coming back to a generation Generation 8. Now we got the Grookey line, right? Not Fruki, but Grookey. The Sobble line, and then the Scorbunny line. Now, I used Grookey for a bit. In fact, my starter, fun fact, was Sobble when I first started Sword and Shield. Now, things have changed. Everybody I knew was so excited for Scorbunny. I don't even know if they even care about Scorbunny and Cinderace anymore, but Grookey and its evolutions, I'm not a big fan of. Like, I'm going to put them all in C tier. I know they're pretty good. I'm just not a big fan of them. I'm not going to lie. Now, this Pokemon, Scorbunny, its evolutions have grown on me so much that I can genuinely say that I really like this evolutionary line. Like, I genuinely do. They're all S tier. They literally are all S tier. Just because it grew on me. Like, the Pokemon itself was okay, and then I ended up playing Pokemon Unite, and that Scorbunny's in there. Made me like the Pokemon a lot more, and then I ended up using the Pokemon, I believe, on my team for Sword and Shield before Scarlet and Violet came out. We were like shiny hunting and stuff, and we got it, and I ended up really liking it in that game as well. Then I was like, you know what, I finally found a favorite fire type starter, right? And then it just kind of went from there. So I don't have a legitimate, like, if you can look so far, I don't have a legitimate water type that I genuinely like. And I'm assuming one day, I might go back and retouch on some of these Pokemon. Because so far, I would say my most favorite is probably between, what's it called? Like, most likely to use, I should say. Because I do like Blastoise a lot more than Empoleon, but most likely to use would probably be either Blastoise, Empoleon, or one of the Samurats, probably the Hisuian one. But again, as of right now, it's a debate on how I feel how I feel on a lot of these Pokemon, so we'll get that figured out. But anyways, lastly, going on to the Sobble line. Sobble itself, I liked it at first. Sobble is kind of like a B tier to me, because I kind of liked it, kind of not. Its evolution, though, it's like an angsty teen. I don't know if I want to put that in either C or D. I'm probably going to put it in D tier. I really didn't like this. Like, I understand it, I guess, but I didn't really like it. But it did get a glow up. And Inteleon itself is probably A tier. Honestly, Inteleon, I'd probably use this as my water type, because I did use Inteleon for a while. Again, I started with Sobble as my starter for Sword and Shield, so Inteleon's kind of got a spot for me there. It's a pretty good Pokemon. It recently, maybe not recently, but at least within last year, it got added into Pokemon Unite, which was super awesome. I never got to use it, so I just know it's there. Never used it, but again, just from experience, Inteleon's probably more like on the A tier side of things. Great design, great Pokemon, because I've actually used it. Mid-evolution, can't even think of its name. It's kind of a D tier Pokemon, like, you're never really gonna see that be used. And I don't really want to use it, but again, gotta give props to my boy Scorbunny and Cinderace, because they ended up just growing on me, and now I have a new favorite fire type, as a starter at least. Lastly, and possibly maybe not the least, I don't know, we have the Gen 9 Pokemon. This is the last of the starter Pokemon. Now, these Pokemon, it was very interesting, I will say, kind of learning the Pokemon. So we got the Meowscarada, right, and the cat here, who I want to say, I want to put the cat in C tier, the main cat in C tier. Floragato, on the other hand, I do kind of like. I ain't gonna lie, Floragato is an easy A tier Pokemon in my opinion. It just looks cool. It looks like cool, you know, it kind of gets like the Scorbunny treatment in the way, where it's middle tier, looks cool compared to its, you know, first form and whatnot. But then you get Meowscarada, its last one, which I'm probably gonna put it more in B tier, right? I think it's a B tier Pokemon. I know it's a good Pokemon to use, and it's supposed to go for like a magician type of look and whatnot, but I don't know. I think, again, it's not a bad Pokemon. I think it's a dark grass type, which I don't think there is a lot of dark grass types. So it's kind of a unique typing, but still, I think it's kind of just B tier. I think it's just B tier. I don't see me really using this Pokemon very much. I mean, I'm granted, any Pokemon that's in B tier up to the S, I'm very likely to use, but kind of at the moment, I'm just like, I don't see me really doing much with it. Like even Chestnut, for example, like I did have it transferred and everything, but even now, I'm not really going to use that Pokemon. Moving on, we got the fire type with Fuecoco in them. I think I'm going to go with the similar treatment to an extent. I think Fuecoco itself is sort of a C tier Pokemon. It's supposed to be like a tiny little crocodile thing, right? And then you got B tier being its mid-evolution, which is going, I don't know, it just looks like a fat crocodile. And then lastly, which is Skeledirge, which I am actually going to put up an A tier. I think it's a fire ghost type or something like that. But it looks a lot cool, and this design kind of grew on me. I kind of hate the way that the flames come out of the side of the mouth, because it kind of looks like hair and whatnot. But outside of that, Skeledirge, not too bad. I think it's supposed to be like a singer as its thing, but from my experience of battling against it, haven't really used it myself. I think I had it, but I never really used it. But kind of my experiences of going up against people who've used it, or even like NPCs who've used it, like it seems like it's a really good Pokemon. It's grown on me, right? Not quite like Scorbunny Cinderace, but it's grown on me as a Pokemon, because it probably would have stayed down in B tier. But just seeing how good it is in like just regular battles, competitives, etc., it's a pretty good Pokemon. So it gets to stay up there in the A tier. Now, lastly, this one was such a troll to me. We got Quaxly and its evolution. Now, Quaxly, S tier, easy, literally like the best water Pokemon out of them all, as just as a starter, right? As its phase one, it's like the best one. I was like, yes, this is the Pokemon for me. Loved it and everything. And then I evolved it. And then I realized I don't like this Pokemon at all. Yes. In fact, I might even put it down to F tier. Like, it was such a disappointment. I think realistically it's more of a D tier, but it was such a letdown for me how I felt like they had such a good opportunity to design this Pokemon to be more like a bullfighter, right? But they didn't do that. Instead, they went down the route of it being this dancer, and I was just like, well, I guess. To me, it doesn't make sense for a water dancer Pokemon to just be, I mean, I guess it makes sense. I guess if you're dancing, it's a fighting type, but bullfighter is in the name. So they could have designed it where maybe it could have its feathers, right? If you can see it, you kind of see it on its middle evolution. Maybe you kind of somewhat see it more for its back and sides, for its final evolution. But still, like, it was such a letdown, this Pokemon. I really was hoping, fingers crossed, it's like, please let this be like a bullfighter design. I was hoping it would have, like, you know, something on its sides, or it'd pose itself up and, like, you know, put its arms up like this or something. So you could kind of see, like, oh, okay, it's got a, you know, like one of those, that little cape blanket thing that they use to get the bulls to kind of run at them and whatnot. That's what I was hoping for, but they did not do it, and it was such a letdown of this Pokemon. I think as of right now, it's like I'm okay with the Pokemon. I don't hate the Pokemon at all. I would not mind using this Pokemon, but like overall, like it was really a big letdown seeing this Pokemon just you know, you think the design's gonna be one thing and end up being another. Not saying that the design of this Pokemon is like the worst or anything like that. It's just my expectations really were destroyed that day. So a little disappointing, but it is what it is. All right, everybody. So this is our tier list. In the end, this is our tier list. So like I said, we're not involving the Pikachu, Eevee, Espeon, Umbreon, because they probably would have been high or mid anyways, especially Espeon. Espeon's actually one of my favorites, so that would have been S tier. But we're not involving the Mega forms. They are all here, as you can see, mainly because of the fact that Megas are not involved in every game. So kind of looking back at the tier list, I did make a slight tweak. I moved Grotle up to S tier because I kind of looked back and realized, like, out of all the grass types, kind of just where they were placed, I do kind of like Grotle a lot more than a lot of them. So I moved them up to S tier because I do like the Turtwig evolutionary line. I legitimately do. So, and I think this might have been a question brought up on stream before, and if it is a question of yours, it's going to get answered. If you had to pick 3 Pokemon, and their evolutionary lines, of course, so we'll keep that in mind. If you had to pick 3 Pokemon that are starters, right? You only can pick 1 fire type, 1 grass, 1 water. Out of all the starters, which are the 3 that you pick, right? I think 2 of them are like obvious answers, right? If you look at the S tier, we got Grotle or Turtwig and its evolution. We got Scorbunny and its evolution. That's grass and fire already. But the one that doesn't really get quite answered is water. Now, if water were to be answered, and this is just my thought, just realistically looking back, looking at sort of everything and my experiences with Pokemon, it looks like it's most likely going to be Oshawott. And I would say specifically its Hisuian form. I could use its regular one, but I want to say its Hisuian form. Because I believe it's a dark water type, and I like that. Now, you could argue, hey, Greninja's a dark water type, why not just use him? But kind of looking back at like the evolutionary lines and kind of just where I placed everybody and whatnot, I just enjoy Oshawott more. So I think realistically, Hisuian Samurott would be the best option, and I think Oshawott would be my water type. Now, there's a few that you could argue with, like for example, Blastoise, right? We have Wartortle at S tier. That doesn't quite save it. Quaxly's in S tier, but its evolutions I really didn't like. So, and plus it's a nice typing, dark water, where my team, if I were to stick with Turtwig and Cinderace, that's pure fire, and then Torterra would be ground and grass. So it's kind of good coverage in that extent, but you know, maybe not the bestest. Anyways, yeah, so I think that's it. I'm really hoping that I put everything where they need to be. Most of these Pokemon, again, I do need to get a little bit more hands-on with and experience them a little bit more. That being, I want to say the Gen 2 starters, right? I feel like I didn't have too much hands-on time with the Gen 2 starters, so I'm going to have them. And then the starters for generations 5 to 7. So that right there is already like, what, 4 generations of Pokemon that I need to be a little bit more hands-on with. Because again, for those Pokemon, I didn't have much of an experience with. And if I did, they kind of came from other games that weren't necessarily the main one, right? Like I've maybe moved a couple of them to the main game, and I've try to figure something out. But I think if I were to just play with them a little bit more in the main games, that I would get a better answer about what starter Pokemon I like and, maybe change things around. But as of right now, experiencing them in like Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Go, the card games, and all this other stuff, I think I placed everything fairly well. And lastly, we didn't hate any Pokemon, but there is no Pokemon here to hate. We disliked a few, but there was no Pokemon to hate, so that is not too bad. Thank you so much for watching if you did, and please hit that like and subscribe. Honestly, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about this tier list? Does it look pretty good? Would you agree with it for the most part? Would you maybe disagree and move some people around? Everybody's going to have their own opinions on Pokemon, so let me know what you think. I'm hoping my reasons are valid. And again, a lot of these Pokemon I have not had good or any genuine experiences with, so I might need to get a bit hands-on and sort of force myself to play with these Pokemon. And lastly, especially if you know us from stream, let me know, does this list look like a genuine reflection of me and how we play our Pokemon games on stream? If you guys don't follow us on stream though, link for that's going to be down below in the description. We typically stream Monday to Tuesday, Pokemon being on Mondays. That is our Pokemon days. So please join us, and I would love to see you there. As always, everybody, please stay kind, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see y'all next time.